Okay. First off, what the hell is LAS? Tell me what it is and what you guys do.
Well, LAS stands for Live Action Society. It's always been a group of just Nerf guns and people running around shooting each other. We get kind of a bad connotation sometimes because people think that we're actually into LARP, which is like hit points and lightning bolts and stuff. But it's all always been just shooting people with guns and stuff. Just a bunch of good guys hanging out, shooting each other.
Got it. And what is your role in that?
I am the president currently.
Cool. So what does the president mean? Like, what are your roles?
Well, I first of all, I have to babysit everybody. I've got to make sure that the university knows what's going on so that we don't get arrested for having guns on campus because the little old ladies freak out. I've got to make sure that the games are running smoothly, make sure that the officers are getting along, make sure that everybody that's there is actually having fun, which is incredibly important and surprisingly difficult sometimes. Just making sure everything runs smoothly.
Awesome. Tell me about... Okay, so the first time you ever heard of Rob, I talked to Kevin. Kevin was the first person I met, and the conversation I had with him is I brought 30 Nerf guns to a party. Kevin saw me with a gun, and he saw me with, you know, that similar gun. I don't know, is that your other one, or is that...
No, that's the one that...
That's the one Kevin bought. Can you show that gun to the camera?
Absolutely.
And kind of just talk about it, be like, this is the gun I bought, or Kevin got for me.
This is, I got this gun through a friend of mine, Grant, actually, and it was actually a replacement for another gun that I had. It was an extremely rare gun. I've never seen another one like it. It has been my pistol since like the beginning of the game, and I've always nicknamed it Ronald Ray Gun. And as soon as it broke, I was actually pretty sad about it because, you know, I've had this thing forever, and then I had the opportunity to get another one through you, and I don't think I'd even met you at that point. So.
How did you get that gun? Like, tell me.
You want to talk as if I hadn't met Rob at that point. Everything's Rob, kind of third person.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So tell me the story of how you procured that gun.
Well, a friend of mine, Grant, had been hanging out with a bunch of people that Cameron and Grant had been talking about, and they kept talking about this guy named Rob. And I had never met him at this point. I'd heard all kinds of crazy stories about him and stuff, but I'd never actually met the guy. And Grant had come back from a party, and he said that they had one of these guns, and I'd never seen another one of these before. They're very rare. They came out a long time ago. They had a kind of a crappy production run on them. Nobody really liked them, but they were like my favorite. But I've always called this thing Ronald Ray Gun, and when mine broke, I was actually kind of devastated about it. So when I finally got the opportunity to get it from Rob, my first thought was, a pretty cool guy. I mean, this is kind of a rare gun. He could have sold it for a few bucks, but he gave it to us like super cheap, and it was just great to be able to replace it.
Wonderful. Okay, now you talked a little bit about...
Hold the gun up a little bit. Let me get like some...
That's great that he just pulled that out because Kevin mentioned that gun and it's like that's the first connection of me.
Yeah, keep it right there where you're at.
And then get him putting it back in his holster when he gets done.
You go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, so you kind of talked about this Rob guy and how you heard about him. Like what did you hear about him? Like, what about the Nerf course? Like, did you think he was crazy? Did you think he was serious about the Nerf course? Tell me about some of those conversations you had with people or that were just going on.
Oh, I thought he was insane. I remember talking to Cameron when he first met him, and he says that he's got this guy, and he's got all these Nerf guns, and he's got this Nerf course in his backyard. Now, I'm thinking, you know, he's got a couple of 2x4s set up in the backyard, big deal, whatever. But stories keep going on, I keep hearing more and more about him, and everyone's like going, oh, well, he's 30. And my first thought is, well, you know, we've had people in the group that are a little older before, and a lot of times they're weird. So I'm like, I kind of wrote him off at first. And then I remember going for the first time and meeting him, and he was a great guy. He was regular, you know, incredibly awesome actually. But when I actually saw the course, my mind was literally blown. I was like, this guy put so much effort into it. It was like every dream me and my friends from high school had ever had, and it just all in one backyard. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Perfect. Tell me about the first time you played back there. You said it was awesome and you liked it. How was that different from LAS? Like, what made it awesome?
Well, when we play at LAS, it's more a lot of like football field stuff. So there's not a whole lot of cover. It's playing in Thunderdome is a lot more intimate. You see people more. It's a lot more hectic. It's a lot more Halo style. You know, everybody's going everywhere and shooting everybody. The cover lends itself to Nerf a little bit more because the ranges are a little bit lower than if you're playing like airsoft or paintball or something.
Cool. Okay. Now talk about when Rob came up to HVZ. Like, what was that experience like? because it was still at that point where he was still very new to the group. He had made a couple friends. Everything was pretty casual. He'd started being friends with Cameron, but that friendship was still developing. And so tell me about Rob's experience with HVZ from you remembered, or any stories that you might, or any interactions you might have had with him during that.
I remember when as soon as you came into yeah, try again. When Rob first came into HVZ, I think I'd known him for like 2-3 weeks. I've met him like twice. I knew he was a nice guy, but I didn't know a whole lot about him. He was. I remember he was coming up and he was playing a game or one of the missions with us, and everyone was kind of hectic. And he started talking. He started telling people what to do. And usually when people do that, I kind of look at him and I wonder if they actually know what they're talking about. And a lot of times they don't. But for some reason, when he was talking, I was just like, okay, I can trust this guy. He knows what he's doing. And sure enough, for the rest of the mission, he took care of everybody. He made sure everybody stayed alive. He did his thing. He knew what he was talking about. It's pretty awesome.
That's great. Let's move on to the last stand. So there was this instance, like Rob ended up dying during HVZ. Actually, real quick, do you remember, since Rob lived off campus, like he wanted to really give the zombies a fair chance at him. He wanted to make sure if he made it to the end, he earned it. And so, like every day during the day, he would cut right through the center of campus. Do you remember any of that?
Oh yeah, he went balls deep every day. A lot of us, especially the ones that lived on campus or close to campus, tried to avoid it a little bit and play the edges of campus, make sure that we didn't get hit, because survival was it was very important to a lot of us just because we've been playing for so long and never been turned. But he was just like, you know what? If I die, I die. So he'd go through campus. He'd go alone if he had to. He'd do whatever it took to give him a fighting chance.
That's great, man. Okay, so we're like, I think it was on Thursday of the mission, so we're pretty much about halfway through HVZ. There's tons of zombies, everything's stacked against the humans, and the humans go to the mission. And the mission seems impossible. And what happened? What happened with that?
Oh, this is actually one of my favorite stories of HVZ, like, ever. We got to the mission, and me and my friends have been playing this game for 4 years at this point. We've survived almost every single time, so I know when to cut and run and when it's okay to stay and fight. So we got to look at the zombie horde, we got to look at our objective and all that, and I was talking with a couple of the guys that have been playing forever, and we just realized we were screwed. There was no way we had to cut it, and I had to take care of these guys and that I've been playing with. So I tell them, we're leaving, that's it, we're not doing it, sorry. There was a little bit of animosity towards that, people didn't really appreciate that, but we got to do what we got to do. So we cut out, and we're already out. We've left. We're safe. We start hearing reports of people that had actually stayed, and I thought they were dead. So I'm like, okay, who do we lose? Who was there? We lost all these people. We lost 5 people. Okay, great. Now we got to do this with the 6 people I got here. Then we get a phone call. We get a phone call that said the mission's been completed, and everyone's like, what? So then we start hearing all these people that are there and alive, and Rob had just like led this last stand and like murdered everything, and I couldn't even believe it. I think I hugged him for about 20 minutes afterwards. It was great.
Now, how did the mission get completed though? Like, tell me more about. You said you heard stories and kind of reports of it. As far as what actually happened there, from your recollection from the stories you heard.
Well, I was pretty distant from it. I didn't get a whole lot of perspective on what actually happened while the mission was going on. I just remember having a conversation with Rob where he said, I'm staying, you guys can go. There's only going to be a few of us. Don't worry about it. So when we were getting these phone calls and hearing people telling these stories about how Rob had just fought back like literally 30 of these zombies at once, that I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I've seen people try this stuff before, and 10 times out of 10, they die. And that's it.
That's great, man. Okay, so I think I got what I need from that story. I love to have that perspective from the Ninja Squad, and I think you really justified the taking off. It makes complete sense from that leadership perspective. I want to talk about Cameron. I want to talk about your relationship with Cameron. First off, how long have you known Cameron, and like who's Cameron to you?
I'm 1 year older in college than Cameron. And we do the new student festival, which is where all the new kids come in. They look at all the different clubs and stuff. And I remember Cameron showing up at our booth. This our second year, the first year that I actually did it. And he had this Nerf gun modded with him, and immediately I was just like, okay, you're cool. You got a gun modded with you. That's great. Cool. Come over here. We'll talk. Whatever. Then we started to hang out a little bit more, and he was kind of a spineless guy at first. He was a weenie. He was new in college. He was 18 years old. He was a little kid, and I saw a whole lot of myself in him when he was there. But we hung out a lot after we modded a lot of Nerf guns and stuff. Hung out over time. We got him more into growing up a little bit, getting a little tougher. Letting stuff roll off his back a little bit. and he's become one of my best friends in college so far.
Got it. So Rob met Cameron like right about, I think it was like October, when he was trying to kind of get people over to come in Thunderdome. Like, Rob had 4 or 5 people that played with him before that, and they kind of got tired of Nerf, and so he was desperate to have people come play with him. And then after that, so Rob became pretty good friends with Cameron, and that relationship just built. Tell me about Cameron's. I've heard that Cameron had a really dark time before that. He was really in a rough place with switching his major and just not really having any direction in his life. Can you tell me about that rough period that he went through?
He's always been a bit high-strung. He's always found himself to be very smart, and he's an incredibly smart kid. So when he found a place in college where he wasn't sure what was going on, he had absolutely no direction, it scared the crap out of him. So he really relied on us to get him through it, and a little bit on alcohol to get him through it. And we all just buddied up with him and took care of it. And a lot of the Nerf stuff actually got him through it because it was a huge hobby of his, and we were able to focus on that instead of the things that were really bugging him.
Awesome. Now,
here, I'm recording here. Can you clap again for me, Dave? Thank you.
Okay, so Cameron, it's key that, or it's very apparent that you have a really good friendship with him. He really looks up to you. Now, when him and Rob first met, Rob was definitely saw him as an equal. He was really, they were both kind of figuring each other out and kind of just feeling out the friendship. How would you say after Rob and Cameron became good friends that affected Cameron's life?
Me and Cameron's relationship had always been like he was my little brother. So, like you said, you saw him as me and Cameron had always been like had a brotherly relationship. So when Rob met him for the first time and they started hanging out and stuff, he had more of an equal friendship thing. There was no helping him out to learn who he was. It just treated him like he was Cameron, and that really gave him a lot of confidence that I guess we never really realized that he needed. So he just started like he walked different almost. Like it was a very subtle thing, but it was the first friendship I think that he had in college where he wasn't the little brother. And I think that was very important for him.
That's great. What do you think Rob's friendship with Cameron will ultimately lead to? Like the path that has shifted because of the decisions he's made and the friendships that he has with Rob, where do you think that's ultimately going to lead him? Do you think, just talk about that. Do you think, how has that shifted where he's going to be?
Well, Rob did a very good job of actually helping him through a bunch of dark times that he's had since, a bunch of just crappy college women, all that kind of stuff. So seriously, Rob has given him a huge sense of confidence that none of us have ever been able to give him, just for whatever reason, just because of the way that we've treated him. And I really think that just in the future, he's just going to have a lot easier time just being Cameron.
That's great. All right, you have any stuff you want to pick about? Just give him a couple damn questions.
Okay, sorry, I was just listening to the...
Oh, okay. It's like, there's no way you don't have questions. You're the question master.
I don't know, I felt bad. I was like, with Shannon, I was like blinking, which is rare for me. Nice to meet you. I've seen you around, but I'm Dan. And
nice to meet you too.
I love,
Give me 1 second.
What's really cool is that, I don't know any of you guys, so like I get to jump in and hear all about your lives right away, and I'm like, wow, I get to kind of skip a lot of stuff and get to know people, and like how great all these people that Rob hangs out with and are. So I'm really like making, nobody's really getting to know me that much, but still I'm like making friends with everybody. It's pretty great.
Whether they know it or not.
Yeah, whether they know it or not, I'm their friend now, and I like them. Sorry, I got something in my throat. And you may not feel comfortable with answering this question because you may, feel like, I don't know how open a book Cameron is. I've actually never met Cameron, so, so just say you don't feel comfortable. But do you know what was the darkest moment in these kind of tough times he was going through that before you got involved or Rob got involved? How dark did those moments get?
It's kind of hard to pin it down to one thing. It was just all about growing up. I mean, he was a little weenie kid when he came into college, and he grew up into this guy, and through it, you know, there's women in class and all this stuff. It just rolled up into one big pile of bullshit for him. And you know, we all felt bad for him. We just never knew what to do. So there were times where he got pretty bad, but we never let him get very bad.
What does pretty bad look like?
I don't know that I don't think he's gonna want me to answer that. I think I'm gonna keep that one.
Okay,
keep that one in.
I didn't know. I'll let him open that book if he wants to.
Yeah, that's him.
Can you tell me about Nerf's growing popularity on campuses and this kind of return of the Nerf?
Absolutely. In high school, we started playing Nerf, and it was just me and my buddy Nick. And very, very quickly, we started getting involved on online communities and stuff, and finding college campuses. Me and him and a group of my buddies actually got challenged by a group in Rolla, which we were completely blown away by this. And so we went and we played with them and stuff, and we got to know them. And it just seems like Nerf is starting to recognize these people, this growing older group of people, rather than just the little kids. In fact, a bunch of the new guns that they're making they seem to be for older people. They got bigger handles, bigger everything for it.
What
I needed that soundbite you just said. Thank you. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. You need me to ask the question. Where did this? Is this just a natural outgrowth of just people getting older and still missing their thing, or was there like a pioneer that's like, let's bring back Nerf and let's make it, or like how did it? Is there originated of the resurgence? Is there stories about like, yeah, so and so started this and it grew, and this city has a huge community of this, and that's kind of where it spread, or anything like that?
Well, there's really two things that led to Nerf guns growing in older people. It's first of all, if you search Nerf right now, one of the first things that's going to come up is a website called Nerf Haven, and all that is about is modifying your Nerf guns to shoot harder and, you know, be more accurate and stuff like that. So people see that website, they're like, hey, that's cool, I'll go throw $10 in and see what happens. And they're impressed and they show their friends and it builds from there. The other one is Humans versus Zombies. And anybody that spends any time looking into Nerf guns at all is going to find this eventually. They find colleges, campuses that do this, and eventually maybe some of them try to get it on their college campus. So it's just grown from that, from mostly the internet, not one particular person.
Describe somebody who doesn't know the first thing about Humans versus Zombies. How do you play a game on campus? How does that work? Like, give me like the basic rules, the basic way that goes down.
It's basically just an elaborate form of tag. If you're a zombie, all you have to do is tag people.
So you say Humans versus Zombies, and then
okay, yeah. Humans versus Zombies is essentially just a big game of tag. If you're a zombie, all you have to do is tag people, and then they become a zombie. If you're a human, if you shoot the zombie, they're stunned for a certain amount of time. The game usually goes on for a week and a half, something like that, with missions and things that humans have to accomplish in order to survive. And it's mostly a team building thing. I've found, like, you get like friendships like rock solid from this thing. You gotta watch each other's back. You gotta take care of everybody. It's a great experience.
When can somebody get shot? How do they win? How do you lose? Those type of things.
In Humans vs. Zombies, you can get shot at any point during the day, or you can get tagged at any point during the day. So you see kids walking to class with Nerf guns, watching their back, running away from people to jet into buildings to try to avoid getting tagged and getting killed, and which actually kind of leads to some complications with public safety, which as president I have to clean up. But usually it's not too big of a deal.
Do zombies have to walk like zombies?
No, there's not a huge restriction on anything the zombies can do. All we ask is that they don't actually kill people. In the past, we've had people literally tackling people out of bushes, and we've had concussions. We've had pretty much every injury of every kind. But most people they're pretty cool about it. They get that, you know, things happen. You can hurt yourself walking down the street. So if you're gonna play a game like this, you gotta have it.
Do you think Nerf has hit its kind of plateau? Or do you think Nerf is gonna grow and get bigger, or kind of die out? It's kind of a fad.
I'm not sure if it'll grow, if it'll die out. Yeah. I'm not sure if Nerf is gonna die out. I'm sure it'll decrease in popularity eventually. But the number of Nerf blasters that have been released just this year is like double what it was when we first started playing. So it seems like they're really starting to pump this stuff out. They're really starting to understand that these college kids are a huge money-making thing, and as long as that continues, I think the game's going to continue to flourish.
Smart man, he knows if they're making money,
this is our guy. I'm glad you're doing this HVZ. That was the intro to my entire HVZ section that you just did.
So is it normal for a 31-year-old, 31?
30 now.
Is it normal for a 30-year-old guy to show up and be like, I want to play with you college kids? Like, is that weird? How does it affect that group?
Well, that kind of depends on your perspective. I mean, we think it's great. I mean, sure.
What?
Oh yeah. We think it's great if anybody shows up at any age to show up and play. I mean, but it kind of depends on your perspective. You got these frat kids on campus that kind of look down on it because all they know is, you know, drinking Natty Light and passing out. Even though secretly a lot of them want to play. The problem is, we run into a lot of animosity like that. So whenever we have these people that are you know, a little bit, you know, they're nerdier people. They're older. They're your stereotypical nerds. We get a lot of judgment from that, and we're really fighting a battle constantly against public image, and it's just a shame because these guys are some of the best guys I've ever met, and they just get treated like garbage sometimes, just for a hobby.
How do you think that reflects on like the human condition in a deeper way? Could you touch, like, it seems like that kind of touches your heart. It's like, these guys are great. Why are people treating them bad? Like, could you expand on that?
Who are we talking about, by the way? Are we talking about just kind of the nerdy kids in LAS?
Yeah. Well, people have always picked on people that they seem are weaker. So when these frat kids get together in their 60, 70, 100 groups and they look at these kids playing with Nerf guns, it's an easy target for them. And deep at their hearts, I've always found them to be scared. A lot of them, if you talk to them one-on-one, they're great people, and they just want to do the same thing we are. They would love to come out there and play Nerf with us, but a lot of them are afraid. We've actually had people be told that they cannot come out and play HVZ or else they're going to get kicked out of their fraternity. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just a hobby. All you're doing is playing with Nerf guns. You got to get enjoyment out of life where you can.
Like a guy like you, I'm like, you could be a frat guy, but instead, you know, like you could fit into the typical, you know, you're a big guy, you're intelligent, that kind of thing. You don't have that kind of a nerdy characteristic. If I just saw you, I wouldn't think, okay, that guy's a nerd, you know, pocket protector, big glasses. Like, why do you choose to be involved in Nerf and be Nerf president and not be out, you know, being in a frat, you know, going out to clubs, that type? Not that you don't maybe go out to do that, but why do you choose the life you do when you maybe have this opportunity to live a different life?
I kind of chose to be a nerd, essentially, like a long time ago. I got picked on a little bit in junior high and stuff, but so does everybody. But me and my friends at that point, we just kind of decided that if people are going to be like that, that's not the people we want to hang out with. So eventually we started playing more and more nerd games, lots of video games and stuff, and as everybody grew up playing baseball and started looking down on us, we very quickly gravitated towards all the people that were into nerd stuff, into Nerf guns, into video games, tabletop games, D&D, whatever it is. And we found that these people are equal quality to the other people. They're just as nice, they're great to get along with if you can get past their...
What you were saying was golden. I'm so sorry we had to cut you off.
I lost my train. Where was I?
No, you were saying...
equal quality. The people are, just say...
Just as nice, just as this,
yeah.
just as that.
Okay.
Maybe,
but the intro would say, the people who do tabletop games, the nerdy type kids are just as nice. And start with that.
The nerdy kids, the people that play Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop games and stuff, they're just as nice as everybody else. But they have a kinship with each other almost. They understand what it is to be made fun of, and they've almost made a vow to themselves not to be that kind of jerk. And a lot of the kids that do make fun of people and stuff, and a lot of these guys, it's all just being terrified and insecure. They just don't know how to be themselves, so they kind of go with the mob mentality of these fraternities.
Beautiful. Who has more fun, nerds or frat boys?
I mean, you know, I would actually say us, because we get kind of the best of both worlds.
Say that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. That's all the question.
When it comes to who has more fun between nerds and frat guys, I would actually say it's us, because we go out and we play these games. We also go out. We have a bunch of people that'll go out and play sports. We have a bunch of us that'll just go out and play all kinds of stuff like that. And a lot of us, at the end of the day, drink just as much as they do. We have just as much fun in that regard as they do, but they just refuse to see it. we're kind of a jack of all trades in that respect.
Has this stimulated any questions from your part?
Man, you've nailed everything. Like, you doubled what I was hoping to get from Dan. Like, everything that you went through was great. What's that?
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Do you want to sit in the seat or you want
to
sit
in the seat?
Why do I sit in the seat?
Because he's got to be looking at you. Dan, you cool? Dude, you're a great interview, brother. You're natural at this shit.
Yeah.
I feel like being the president, you kind of know you had to be the representative. You know?
He hit on some things that pissed me off a lot.
The frat thing?
Oh, yeah. So that's pretty easy to talk about.
I have 3.
Oh, great.
Because if we're going to go back into the frat stuff, well, you actually dated a girl who was in Greek life, who was in a sorority, and you probably had a lot of exposure to the whole Greek community. And you obviously have made up your mind about what you think of these people. How did your personal experience with people who are in Greek life affect the way you view them?
Well, I had a lot of experience with people in Greek life. My girlfriend from high school joined a sorority as soon as she got here. My sister joined one as well, which always surprised me because my sister was very down to earth and she never fit with the personality that I expect out of these people. So as college went on and stuff, and I slowly started to see my girlfriend change from this very cool person who was also very down to earth and very smart, and she just started getting all these personality quirks that seemed to be beat into her by these people. She used to play tabletop games with us and stuff. She used to play Nerf a lot, but as time went on, these people just kind of scared it out of her. So the more I see these people and the more I see changes in people as time goes on, I get almost sickened by fraternities. Not by the concept itself, but by what it does to the people that don't know who they are.
That's really good. What would be your favorite part of HVZ? Like, what part do you find that you enjoy the most about the game?
My favorite part of HVZ is the teamwork between me and my best friends. We've been playing Nerf forever. They all came down here to college with me, so we're all still buddies. We all still hang out. And 9 times out of 10, whenever we come down to a mission, there's always a suicide mission. There's always one group of people that always is going to just get slaughtered if they're not careful. And every single time I volunteer for it, I turn around and all of my buddies have their hands up too to go on it. And it's a really great feeling knowing that they've got my back and I've got their back, and we'll do anything to keep each other alive.
Since Rob had to make up the games that he's playing in Thunderdome, you also had to make up a lot of games as the president and as the leader of the Nerf group on campus. How did you find you were able to create games? What gave you inspiration? And how do they compare to the games that Rob plays in Thunderdome?
Well, a lot of the games that we created in LAS got their inspiration from video games, Call of Duty, stuff like that. And it was really kind of funny because a lot of these games that people play in Nerf are pretty universal without, even trying. Well, we came into a lot of these games that Rob was playing are games that we were playing in LAS and games that we played back home back in high school. It's a very easy thing to fall into, and they kind of write themselves almost.
That's all I have.
Was there anything you want to touch on?
No,
Story?
don't think so.
Is there, okay, you can tell this to Shannon. Can you tell us one moment where you just did you ever got in a fight with somebody who was picking on somebody? Have you ever had a moment where you just almost lost it, or you did lose it, or you just had to stand up for somebody? You saw somebody else stand up for somebody? I
totally lost it at one point. It was just a simple thing, and it was just like I was just done. I'd had too much of it. We were in the middle of HVZ, and this kid, he was walking up on us, and he says, "Hey, aren't you guys a little too old to be playing with Nerf guns?" And I looked at him straight in the face immediately and said, "Hey, aren't you a little fat?" You should have seen the look on this guy's face. He was so mad, but he knew there was too many of us for him to actually do anything about it.
That's so great.
You have more stories? Or was that?
I actually mostly keep it to myself, so I don't have a lot like those. I can't, as the president, I can't engage these people. I have to be nice and abide.
Sarah.
You need to talk to Sarah. Sarah does not do that.
One more question.
Okay, one more question. Have you seen a moment? Can you tell us a moment where you felt like it could be any moment in your life, probably preferably like dealing with Nerf or since college, where you saw someone just stand up for somebody who was making fun of somebody else, somebody who was different because they loved it, and you stood up or someone else stood up to kind of just put somebody in their place, kind of just to bring the truth to the situation.
You get lots of people standing up for each other in organizations like this. I always like to think of live action society as the island of misfit toys. We're all a bunch of weird people in our own way as far as society is concerned, and we bond over that a whole lot. So when you see somebody coming in and just being a complete jerk, you see everybody like swarm them. It's pretty crazy how quickly these nerds will stand up for each other and do what needs to be done to get rid of them. One specific example of this is we had a bunch of 2 fraternity guys come and play. And a couple people knew them. They were nice enough guys, but after a while they were just harping on a specific few people. And I remember Andrew Mackey, who used to be the vice president of LAS, literally grabbed these 2 by the scruffs of their neck and drugged them out and just said, "Do not come back." And you know when Mackey says something that he's being serious, and they knew it too. And it was a pretty great feeling.
Oh, that Misfit Toys thing. That's just fucking trailer shit, man. Like, oh.
That's great.
You have anything else?
Have you ever seen a situation here at Thunderdome or Rob's place where someone was picking on somebody, or there was like some conflict or some judgment or something, and you saw Rob put somebody in their place, or maybe if not, start with Rob if you can't think of anything, Rob, someone else.
I don't think I've ever seen anything at Thunderdome where anybody was making fun of anybody, and I think that's just because of the difference between the two groups. Thunderdome is more focused around friends and invitations. You don't just show up to Thunderdome. You can't just go to the football fields and play Thunderdome. You have to be specifically invited by people that are already friends. So you're coming into a very, very close-knit group that's very clear that if you're going to survive in this group, you need to get along with everybody. So if anybody were to start being a dick, then everybody would just tell them to just get out, and that would be the end of it. There would be no conflict.
You're so good at answering questions concisely.
You didn't even wait till you finished the answer. You're like, I already got something.
I know, but it's how you have to be. I have to do it all the time. Like, if you ramble on, it's unusable, but you have such good fucking sound bites, dude.
Thank you.
I just almost want to have Dan ask you questions for like the next hour because the shit that we might accidentally get, but unfortunately we are short on time, and I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Well, hell, man, if you think of something else you want to ask, let me know.
I think we got a lot of good stuff.
Cool.
Dan, thank you so much.
No problem. Happy to help.
Sorry, I wasn't recording.
Oh, you got to clap too.
So I didn't get the sound bite. So
Gotcha.
Clap and go.
Ninja Squad is sort of a joke group that was originally started in high school with me and my buddy Nick. We were 15-year-old kids, so we were pretty dumb. So we came up with a stupid name of Ninja Squad to call ourselves. And at first, like I said, it was mostly a joke, but we started playing with more people. We found people in our own high school that played, and we played against them and beat them, and we started adding more of our friends in, and before long, we had 5 or 6 people who were just very good at playing Nerf, which may sound kind of ridiculous, but we were very good at it. We got invited to go down and play at Rolla with a bunch of the college kids through a couple people that knew Nick. And we got the 5 people that wanted a road trip down with us, and we showed up and we stomped them. I mean, it was like 15 to 5 people, and we were just murdering them left and right. So, the whole Ninja Squad brand almost became a little bit more serious. And fast forward a couple more years, and it's 11 people strong. And it's mostly just a bunch of people being friends and hanging out and being a closer knit group than everybody else.
Nice. What makes you guys good at it? Like, what makes you better than everybody else?
I think what makes us good at Nerf is the dedication that we put into it. If somebody needs an idea for a new gun, we'll all go down to the basement and we'll work on it. We'll make sure that it works. We'll make sure that person has the equipment that they think that they need. And being able to specialize what one person does versus another, it really helps us to balance out how we come into every situation. For example, we've got my buddy Oaks, who is just really good at just fucking shit up. I should do that when I can't. Sorry, I can't say fuck.
It's easier if you don't.
Okay. I think what makes us all really good at Nerf is that we will all get together and we'll make sure that everybody has the equipment they need. We'll make sure one person is specialized at doing one specific job, and the next person will be doing the same thing. I got a buddy Oaks who has been in it since the very beginning, and he is all about shotguns and just screwing people over with axes. He'll just walk up to you and he'll just beat the crap out of you. So he'll actually scare people and scare them into several other people in the groups where we'll just mow them down. It's the teamwork and the friendship that we've built over the years is the most important part of the group.
Got you. And I want you to go through really quick who is the still active members of the Ninja Squad if someone is out of town and isn't going to be. I basically need you to intro the people.
The people that are going to be in
HVZ.
All right, hang on, let me think about it for a second. We got myself. I think Noel will show up at some point. Sarah.
And then maybe their quick specialty, like what are they good at, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The active members of Ninja Squad currently are myself, who has always been good at just running in and just shooting people up all the time. Cameron, who I've actually taught to fight exactly like myself. Sarah, who does whatever we need her to do. Nick Knoll, who we've always referred to as the hunter. He only comes in occasionally. He's always a very busy guy. He'll show up and he'll just save us and just run away. We won't see him for the rest of the time. Josiah, who is kind of a new guy. He hasn't been in it for very long, but he has been working with Sarah to try to do the same kind of stuff that she does.
And that's everybody?
I think so.
Now, is Grant going to be involved?
Oh, shit. I forgot Grant.
No,
He'd be pissed.
Say, and Grant?
Okay, yep. Oh, yeah. And Grant, who has always been all about as many guns as he can cram onto his body at once. If he could get a gun that fired guns that shot darts, he would totally do it. We've also got Chris, who has always been very uncanny good at picking people off from a distance. You give him a gun that shoots 120 feet or so, and I actually feel safer than if I've got 2 guns in my hand.
Okay, is there anybody else?
Am I missing anybody?
Cody?
Cody isn't. He's no baby.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yes, everyone likes it.
We good? Wrap up? All right, perfect. You gave me everything I needed
Good.
to play.